It just got announced. John Hunter to the 42.
12 minutes ago.
12 freaking minutes ago. See, I don't even get live news feeds up here, man. 12 minutes ago. But it ran my brain, and there we go. Affiliated with Toyota. What's going on, y'all? I'm Brandon Atlanta Man Bang, coming to you live right here, Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. Another episode of Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Rubbin' is racing, grubbin' is tasting. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday night out there, man. I tell you what, we got a lot of NASCAR news. Want to drop my apologies. Had the storm come through last week, which wasn't too much. Probably could have come up and done the show, but decided to play it safe and not to. But we're back at it, man. Got a lot of good NASCAR stuff to go over, so we're going to get right into it, man. Getting into the NASCAR news, man. If you watched it last weekend, Kyle Young Money finally got that win there at the Lady in Black in Darlington, man. I tell you what, that was awesome to watch. You know, I've been pulling for him there. You always know he's going to be good, especially if that high line comes in later on in the night or in the evening as we progress. And that was just an awesome show there, man. So good run by Young Money. Glad to see him get the checkers and, hey, locked himself into that round of 12, man. So Denny Hamlin and JGR, man, this is probably some of the biggest news came out kind of earlier in the week. You know, we've been sitting on this and, you know, you're teeter-tottering on if it was going to become the Kyle Busch saga 2.0, right? You're waiting going, man, they can't give that guy up. Like, you can't not re-sign him, right? So they re-signed. Glad to see Denny got re-signed a multi-year extension, which I'm going to say is probably 2, maybe 3, but I'm going to guess 2. I hadn't really looked into it, but, I mean, you know, what the hell. I probably should here soon. But at the end of the day, probably 2 to 3 years max. That's usually what a NASCAR contract goes for. You know, I look at it like this. I said it all the time. Even if maybe they didn't re-sign, and FedEx we know is not coming back next season, right, as that majority sponsor for the 11. But even if he didn't re-sign, there's not a doubt in my mind that I don't think Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan couldn't have found the sponsors to start and run that third team over there at 2311. I mean, whether it's buying another charter or buying in, I don't know how that would have worked out, but I still foresee Denny Hamlin retiring from 2311. I'll put that out there. So, change is coming, man. I'm waiting on the schedule drop. We all been waiting on this. Usually it hits in September sometime. We're hoping before the end of the month we get this 2024 schedule, which I hope looks pretty good. I hope we lose a couple road courses and gain back some. I mean, I think, you know, Chicago Street Course will probably be on there again, which, you know, it's cool. I mean, I guess, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I think it's cool for the sport, you know, the aspect of attracting new fans in the venue. But hopefully we get, you know, back to North Wilkesboro. We get back to 2 Bristol dirt, you know, or 2 Bristol, you know, solid asphalt or concrete track races. You know, we move some stuff around knowing that California's out. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what you do. I mean, I feel like we should probably work the way up the East Coast before we go out west. But, you know, NASCAR has a plan, but I'm waiting on that. That's going to be some good news and some good stuff to run down with you guys. So if you're a fan, make sure you're keeping up when that schedule drops because we'll have a pretty good show that night. Make sure you tune in, man. So if you haven't yet, I want to let you guys know, man, please go out, like, share, follow all that social media we have out there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can find myself, you can find Lawrence, but most of all, man, follow us on that Rubbin' and Grubbin'. Subscribe to that channel on YouTube. You know, like I say, I like to say the more eyes I get on it, you know, the more people we get in tune to the charity events and really what this is all about. I mean, I love bringing the show to you in NASCAR, but it also gives me an opportunity to give back to my community, man. And honestly, I think we all need to do some more of that. But awesome deal there, you know. Follow it. I mean, we got good stuff going on. We're getting to that point of the year where we're getting ready to crank back up into the fall season here at Coaches and all kinds of cool stuff. We still got the Kevin Harvick helmet to give away. I didn't check this week. I had some issues with my phone, so I finally get my phone back on. But, you know, north of 300. We're trying to make it to 400 forever. Somebody, hopefully by the end of the season, man, will win this, you know, helmet here. Certificate of authenticity for you. I mean, it's a pretty good little man cave piece, or if you're a Harvick fan, a really good deal to add in, man. So go out, like I said, like, share, follow, subscribe to that YouTube channel, share it with everybody. Like I said, I don't care who it is, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins. If you got a little nephew 5 years old like NASCAR, sign him up to YouTube. Follow Rubbin' and Grubbin', baby. So, some good news coming out of that Xfinity Series too, man. Sheldon Creed is expected to make his Cup Series start this weekend there at Kansas. I think that's really cool. Going to be driving it down for Live Fast Motorsports, and good thing to see him stepping up. I think he's got a lot of young talent. I think another year, maybe two, and the same equipment are probably doing some really good there in the Xfinity Series. But at the end of the day, I think we're getting ready to get into a generation that's going to be moving drivers up left and right. I really think we do. I don't know what you do. I think youth has sponsorship, and I think that's going to kind of fall into it. But we'll talk a little bit more on that going on. But a good opportunity for a young man to go out there and show what he does, and I really love that, man. So Denny Hamlin, at the end of the day, coming home, with the Xfinity win there at Darlington. And I tell you what, if you're not a Denny Hamlin fan, which I'm not, I respect what he's done for the sport. I respect him standing up and giving his honest opinion every time. I always respect that. But he's just not my cup of tea. But at the end of the day, you know what? 6 wins there in Xfinity Series at Darlington, I'm pretty sure, man. That is something to definitely pat yourself on the back about. I don't care if it's 6 wins combined throughout a career, or all 3 series, or 6-1. That's awesome. We know Denny has a knack for Darlington's always found a good way and a way around it. And I'll be damned if he had it locked down Saturday. That's for sure. He took the checkers there, man. So shout out to Denny there for the 6th win in Xfinity Series at Darlington. So with all that being said, and Denny Hamlin re-signing, that pretty much should be good to say 23-11 is going to be locked in with that Toyota team for some time to come. And not only that, I mean, I think we're kind of sleeping on some things with some guys that are joining that Toyota camp as well. We're starting to gain numbers over in Toyota. So, there again, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get deeper in the show. But keep an eye on it because it's happening. So getting into that playoff picture, y'all, but before we do, I'm going to tell y'all, I got the sun right here beaming down on me. I'm feeling good today. It's a great Wednesday. I'm sweating a little bit, but at the end of the day, I want to tell you guys happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Take a sip, enjoy, do your thing, man. So like I said, playoff picture, getting into it, man. Kyle Larson is locked in, obviously, with that win here this past weekend at Darlington. And it's still a pretty tight little playoff race, man. You got, Bubba out there on the bottom, Stenhouse, Harvick, McDowell. Those guys are kind of out right now. But coming into Kansas and coming into this weekend, I expect a lot of big things. I think we're going to have a tight 16, which I really like, Usually, if you go back through history, somewhere in that 16, you start losing touch with one of the guys that made it. I think last year's a little bit of an exception. I think you had some guys on the bottom that ran pretty good. But before that, you kind of look, and you can always kind of pick those 4 out. But at the end of the day, I think Kansas is a great opportunity to tighten up this playoff picture even more. We know Larson's locked in. We know some of those guys that's got a lot of playoff points from earlier in the year are good no matter what. But at the end of the day, it's going to be awesome to watch, and I'm liking it so far. So I'll keep you updated on the playoff picture. But, hey, like I said, as of right now, 23, 4, 34, and 47 find themselves outside that top 12. So we'll see if they can fight their way back in there at Kansas, man. So, silly season, well, like I said, with Denny Hamlin being locked in and all that contract extension, that kind of changes a little bit. But we still do have some really big questions. And I know Harrison Burton's pretty much expected to be back into that 21 car next year, but I still think there's some options out there that are a little better, if you ask me. Not taking anything away from Harrison, but I think if he took a step back into Xfinity 2-3 years maybe, kind of built up that resume a little bit more and got used to, kind of winning some races and managing some races other than trying to just survive is what I feel like he's been doing the last couple of years. But, and he's had some bad luck too. But at the end of the day, I think there's some talent out there that you should lock down here in the near future. Might be a little bit better than Harrison. But you're out there on that. I mean, what happens with the 16? Allmendinger was on Sirius, NASCAR channel earlier in the week, kind of doesn't know what his future holds. He knows it's at Colleague. He says he'll, race there as long as they'll let him until he retires, but doesn't know if it's Cup full-time or taking a step back to the Xfinity series. And, at the end of the day, I think AJ belongs in the Cup. I think that, he definitely has earned his spots in up and down and trials and tribulations of his career to be in Cup full-time, so I hope they keep him there. I think the next year will definitely be better than this past year, but at the end of the day, you got that up for grabs. We don't know what Stuart Haas is doing with the charters. Are you selling? Who's buying? So silly season is still in mad swing, man, and I like it. As the summer heats down and we get into the fall, it's going to be interesting to kind of keep up. And what kind of keeps us busy throughout that off season is some of this falling into play then. So I'll keep you posted, but make sure you're tuning in Wednesdays, rubbing and grubbing, baby. So that'll wrap it up for that NASCAR news, man, and we're going to get into that checkered flag for charity. And I tell you guys what, we got 2 weeks to catch up for. You know, we got the Chris Buescher win. We've got all kinds of wins going on. So money. The 5-car, yeah. How did I even forget the 5-car won this past weekend? Yeah, I know, man. 17 in the 5. $22. The Logano goes in there, man, raising a little bit over $3,000 from Miss Jamie Searhouse Monroe. If you don't know the story, lost her husband and her mom, very close time, kind of rebuilding, figuring out herself. So we all came together, a personal friend of mine, to raise money for her and done a pretty good job so far this year. So got some events coming up here in the next couple months. We're going to be pulling for her. We're going to have, big events here at Coach's as well. So make sure you're out there, following social media with Coach's Corner. It's an awesome place, awesome venue, so make sure you're doing that. But, that's my favorite part, like I said, of rubbing and grubbing, is I get to talk NASCAR, a sport I love, but I also get to raise money for my local community, man. And Checkered Flag for Charity, we've been doing good there. Blessed that John and Adele Henderson allow us to do our thing, up here and get some Cooler Full of Joys going in different raffles that we do throughout the season. In the year to help raise money for that cause, whether it be a charity or somebody local. But the best part is, man, you guys can contribute. And I like to say none of that is possible without every Coach's Corner patron that comes out and supports the Sound Garden and supports coaches in general. The money we raise and the things we do for our community is because of our community, man, and that deserves a pat on the back. So cheers to you guys for out there doing that. I'll take a sip to that one. And like I say all the time, if you're ever up at Coach's, man, with your buddies at your work or your family and you want to contribute to Checkered Flag for Charity or any of the charitable causes we have here at Coach's Corner, let your bartender, your waiter, your waiter, your waitress, staff, anybody on the staff, just let them know you want to contribute to Checkered Flag for Charity or one of the other charitable events we do here at Coach's. Be more than happy to steer you in the right direction. And I tell you all the time, doesn't matter, nickels, pennies, dimes, 10, 20s, 150s, whatever it is you got to give, make sure you're throwing it in, get a little feedback from the community, and feel good for you, man. So keep up the good work, coaches. Y'all been rocking it, man. So getting into the who's hot and who's not. And before we get into this, man, I got to give a big shout out to my main man, Mr. Parker Eccles, owner-operator over there at Arborman Tree Service, the best tree service in Savannah. Locally owned, locally operated, insured, taking care of all your tree service needs. Doesn't matter what it is, man. We are in the thick of the hurricane season. If you're from this area, you know September, October, November, those are the months right there that we watch out for it the most. But if you need something cut back from the house or need an estimate, make sure you give Parker and his team a call over there at Arborman. They are awesome. It doesn't matter what it is. Cutting back some limbs, full tree removal, stump grinding. If you just need an estimate, like I say, man, give Parker a call over there, man. Best in the business. And as I always say, no job too big, too small. Give Parker a call. Love you, brother. Arborman Tree Service. You'll see that number all night long on that screen scrolling. So make sure you give him a holler for your tree service needs, man. Getting into the who's not, look, I think Young Money takes it over. Oh, man, we got a breeze, man. Free AC out here, y'all. Man, I tell you what, Young Money does it there at the Lady in Black at Darlington. Like I said, I think that this team is, it's time. You can see it kind of coming back. They lost a little bit of speed, I think, in the feel for it throughout the summer. According to the Kyle Larson standards in HMS, I think it just running up front and dominating and leading laps and in contention to kind of running 7th, 8th, 10th, 12th, having some bad runs there, here and there. But at the end of the day, I think this is the most solid team we have out there playoff picture-wise. Cliff Daniels and Kyle Larson's communication and car setup and what they do in and out, week in and week out between the shop and on and off the racetrack. That, like I say, Jimmy Johnson, Chad Canals, Jeff Gordon, Ray Evernham-esque. I mean, it's one of those things that's kind of a duo that you find once in a lifetime. So we'll see what they can continue to do, but I'm telling you right now, coming into Kansas, I don't expect that 5-car to slow down. See where it ends up in the list, in that breakdown of Kansas here in just a bit, y'all. Denny Hamlin, I got to put, Denny Hamlin in there, man. Locked himself, down pretty good. Second place there on the hot list. Driver of the 11, I think, coming into another racetrack. We saw him win earlier in the spring. We know what he did there with Larson, but at the end of the day, he got the win. Toyota runs good at Kansas. Denny Hamlin is probably coming into the playoffs, I feel, after even watching Darlington and maybe not winning or finishing the way he should have. They got it together. Denny's going to be deep in the playoffs there, man. So I'll take him second at probably one of his best racetracks there at Kansas. I remember watching him very young in his career there, even before it got reconfigured, which is a pretty awesome deal there. But always had a knack for it, always runs good there. And I tell you what, you got to be on the lookout for the 11 there as well at Kansas this weekend. So I'll take him too on the hot list for sure. I feel like a guy, a veteran that knows the pressures of the playoffs, knows how to manage the playoffs, and has a little cushion there with some playoff points and things throughout the year. So I expect him to run well, at least deep into the round of 8. So. Hey, Chris the Cowboy Busher, baby's on one for real, man. Top 3 finish there at Darlington, I think, is awesome. You can't count this guy out. 3 wins out of the last 6 races, and that's counting the top 3 here at Darlington this past weekend. So 3 wins, the top 3, and I'm pretty sure a top 10. I know at least on one of those. So 17 team over there at RFK really came on strong here in the season, and we all know what happens the deeper you get. Yeah, it's a Ford. God dang. Yeah. At the end of the day, you really see what this team is building up to. And I think leaps and bounds and good things are happening over there. I think you see the hunger of Brad Keselowski. I also think on top of that, you see, just the drive of Chris Buescher and the trial and tribulation career that he's had building up to this point. And, winning last year was good, but winning multiple races this year and showing up pretty much, to me, if you ask, the best Ford camp all the way around. Penske's doing good. Blaney got a win. Logano's doing what he did last season, laying low with a couple. But, at the end of the day, to me, I think RFK is the hottest Ford team in the sport right now. And I think that they can possibly make a deep playoff run. And to be honest, maybe even make a 4. It depends on how it all folds and what kind of speed they bring to some of these mile and a halves, once we get into that round of 12 and 8. But at the end of the day, running good. So I'll take them 3 on that hot list, man. On the knot, man, I hate to do it, but Michael McDowell went a little bit cold there. And I tell you what, I've enjoyed watching them drive into the playoffs and having the season that the 34 team had. But if you're asking me to bet on one that I think's out after the round of 16, it's definitely this one. I just look at Kansas and then to turn around and go to Bristol, which is not one of the strong suits there. I just think I think that they're behind the 8 ball already. If they don't get Kansas out of the way and they come into Bristol fighting a couple other teams that are ahead of them, I think they're in trouble. So we'll see what happens. But right now on the not list, I really thought that he was going to even run a little bit better towards the end of the regular season than what he did at a couple places, and kind of let me down there. But great season at the end of the day. Either way, big money coming in, making those playoffs. So I'll cheers to McDowell on that, even though he's on the not list. So 21 of Harrison Burton, I talked about this a little bit earlier. I think he's definitely got to be on the not list. And look, I'm not taking anything away from Harrison. He's very young. I think he kind of got the opportunity to be shoved into the Cup Series maybe a little bit too early. I'm just looking at it, there's a lot of talent that we've seen that step in Cup cars, and I'm not going to say Wood Brothers equipment is worse than some others. I mean, I'll talk about it in a minute, but I think there's a lot of young talented guys out there that are hungry to come back into Cup or into Cup for that first time that you better get on now, because in the next 2 to 3 years, there's going to be some guys going. And if you don't get on them now and get them to jump ship and come over and get their feet wet in Cup, I feel like the competition is only going to get better as we move forward with the next-gen car. The big teams are only going to gain on the smaller teams, and you're going to be behind the 8 ball unless you go to one of those big 3, big 4 teams. So nothing against him. I think he's had 2 years there to get the feel for the car. I know a lot of it's bad luck. I've seen him in a lot of bad luck incidents. I've seen him, some bright spots there leading and this and that, but there's never been a race that Harrison comes out and qualifies really good and then just, runs good and finishes top 5, top 7. So I think race management is probably a big issue for him. I think that, just being able to give that relay and feedback to from the race car to the crew chief and Cup Series a little bit too much for him. So step down wouldn't hurt, and we'll see what he does. But either way, don't dislike or, like the guy. But at the end of the day, I think he's a young, talented driver. Just needs to probably take it back for a few years and 25, 26 come back up. So we'll see what happens. NASCAR, man. for not releasing the schedule yet is also on the not list. I talked about this earlier. I want the schedule. I want to see what kind of changes we're making, what we're doing. I know they're hunting for an international date, which will probably be Canada, if you ask me. If you want to know what they'll probably do, Canada for something. But I want to see if they move some dates around, man, if they get some things different, moving in a different direction. And I think we probably won't see too many dates move too much until maybe Phoenix becomes up on that 2025 contract for the finale. Then I think you'll see some things move and reworking and reconfiguring a schedule. But be interesting to see what they got, and I'm excited about that. So, but that's going to wrap it up for the who's hot and who's not. And before we get into this Darlington recap, I'm going to finish this one off. Cheers, y'all. Pause right here. Station identification. It's Coach's Corner Sports Network, man. Love y'all. All right, man. So another great race there. The lady in black. The track too tough to tame. That was a really good race, man. I tell you what, it's got everything in it that a NASCAR race really should be. I mean, I read an article on it, and I really feel the same way. I went to Atlanta for my first, but I feel like if there was the first racetrack you should go to experience, it really should be Darlington, because it does have everything. You know, the pit strategy, the wrecks, the mayhem, the speed, you know, just the late runs, the early comers, the late goers. I mean, it's got everything. So just a great race there, as we saw in the spring as well. I mean, Darlington has got to keep the 2 dates no matter what. That is, I'm glad it went back to 2. It's got to stay at 2. And I think I'll probably try to make that race next year. It's a hop, skip, and jumping away from here in Savannah. So maybe me and Lawrence will try to make that spring race next year. That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one, man. So I think we might try to make that next year and see what we can't do. But, you know, all in all, great race there at Darlington, baby. As I talked about earlier, Kyle Young Money Larson coming home victorious. That first win in the career for Kyle Larson in the Cup Series, which is really hard to believe. Just how good he's run there and how many chances I feel like he's had. You know, we saw it last season. Or season before, you know, we've seen the video game finish with Denny Hamlin and him coming to get it, and just never been able to get it. So glad to see him get that one off of his back and get that win and put that crown jewel up into the that bright helmet that he wears. Oh yeah, baby, redo. You know, look, I tell you what, when Kyle Larson's racing career is over, and whether it be dirt or whether it be Xfinity or whether it be NASCAR or whether it be whatever it may be, late model, Silver Crown, doesn't matter what it is, World of Outlaws, this is probably going to be one of the most well-rounded, world-renowned winners of just big events that we have. You know, yet to get the Daytona 500, which I think he's got a lot of career left. I think it's a very good possibility they can get that. But, you know, got that Southern 500 win there. I think we're going back to bricks and oval, you know, the oval hopefully here on that 2024 schedule. We're running Indy next year anyways. I mean, I think, you know, there's going to be some stuff I feel like Kyle Larson locks in that no other body in NASCAR has ever had or that has come up through racing has ever done. So, you know, at the end of the day, just an awesome race car driver. Glad to see him get that jewel of the crown jewels in the helmet locked in, man. You know, Denny looked to be the guy to beat. You know, I had him on, I think, my list last week had I had an opportunity to come up and do the show, which I just couldn't make it happen. But I think I had him one and looked good through 1 and 2 stages, and then towards the end of the race just didn't happen there for him, man, and I hate that. But, you know, at the end of the day, it happens. Sometimes that's the way it goes down, cookie crumbles. But the 11 showed they're not messing around, man. I really think that Denny Hamlin is going to be a threat. And, you know, we talk about him not winning a championship and comparing to Mark Martin and this and that and yada, yada. And, I mean, has anybody ever really thought about what happens if Denny Hamlin does win a championship this year? Like, are we going to all of a sudden be like, right, mind blown, you know, 50-plus wins and Xfinity wins and, you know, all doing this at JGR in one place and, you know, oh, he won a championship. I mean, where does that rank him on the all-time greats? Because 50-plus wins and a championship, that's a lot better than, you know, a lot. That's close to Kyle Busch numbers. Other than he's got 2, you know. I mean, who knows, you know. So I'm just saying, like, have we ever stopped to take a moment to think about that in our sport and go, well, when he wins a championship, what kind of new light does it put Denny Hamlin in? So that's just something I thought about. Question, man. Love to hear your comments right back about that. But, you know, nevertheless, did his thing there at Darlington. Not a good finish, 25th, I think, 26th. But, you know, coming back to where he won in the spring and another good racetrack for Denny and Toyota. So expect him to be fast here at Kansas coming up this Sunday. Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez, man, I'm going to hit a little beer on this one because I'm kind of torn on this one. But You know, that was pretty wild. I mean, I get the block down low once. I even get it coming back up a little bit. But once we get up there, you got to give it to him. And, you know, Alex, the showman Bowman, had his comments on Suarez and says he kind of does stupid stuff every time he's around him and races him different on the racetrack. And but I got to agree with Daniel. You block me low once, that's okay. I'll give that to you. I move back up. You throw it again, I'm going to give it and do what I got to do. And he did. Ended up costing both of them a night. But at the end of the day, you know, it's part of racing. That's what happens. Tempers get hot, especially in South Carolina, Darlington, southern hemisphere down here. And you know, September, Labor Day, it gets hot, man. So it happens. But, you know, at the end of the day, I don't follow either one of them. They say what they got to say. And we'll see if it carries over into this weekend, which I really hope it doesn't. But it'd make for a good playoff talk. Two guys that aren't in and, you know, just battling it out and making a new rivalry. But we'll see what happens for sure. So, you know, there again, total recap on the Darlington race, man. That's just one of the best races of the year. I mean, it's so historic. Just so much history there, watching guys, the transition from day to night and how much the track changes and how abrasive it is and how slick it is and guys finding new lines and building this up and who's coming on early and got the strong runs and who's not and what pit strategy and 4 or 2 or, man, I tell you what, it's just an awesome race. I can't wait to experience it in person. I'm definitely going to do that here in the near future. But at the end of the day, that's top 5 NASCAR track with this next-gen car all day long, whether it be in the spring or this race here. That's top 5, man. So hopefully we keep it going and see what happens, man. But an awesome race there at Darlington for sure. So getting into the Kansas preview, man, there again, going back to the land of Oz, running down that yellow brick road, and I tell you what, who is going to be lucky enough to click the heels a couple times and go back home with a checkered? And I tell you what, it's probably going to be one of the 2 guys we saw in the spring. We'll talk about it a little bit here in just a second, but you know, Denny brought that first win back there to the 11 team earlier in the season there and put the bumper to Larson, which I do want to say, had he been a half lane down, that would have been a right rear hook into the wall, but we won't say that. And then we go to Pocono, and he does what he does at Pocono to Larson. So I'm just looking at it in the general aspect of Larson's probably getting ready to come back here, and if he's got the opportunity to give it back if it's for the win. So I like it. A lot of drama tuning in, man. Will Larson, you know, come back and get the win here in the fall out there in Kansas, or is it going to be another driver inside the 12 or 16 or outside the 16 that locks in the win there at Kansas, man? You know, tune in. Let's find out this Sunday, baby. Top 5 for me. I'm going to swap it up from what I did in the spring. I'll take Young Money #1 this time. I think Young Money ain't playing around. I think that a Chevy's getting ready to come and break that Toyota dominance. I think I read something that Toyota's won 9 out of the last 15 races at Kansas or something crazy like that. Somebody comment on there, man. Let me know if I'm right or wrong on the video, but I'm pretty sure they won like 9 out of the last 15 races or something crazy. So Toyota's good. I think Kyle Larson brings that thunder. Him and Cliff Daniels bring that hot rod they had earlier in the year there in May. And they don't let Denny get to him this time, baby. They smoke him. 2, how can you not take Denny Hamlin? I mean, honestly, how can you not? I mean, the guy's good there, really fast, good, strong showing in the spring all the way throughout for Toyota. I think that there again, when you're talking a racetrack that you go manufacturers, you know, we talked Michigan at Ford Ford at Michigan for a long time. We talked Chevrolet at other places. We talked, you know, kind of just where those engines and where they circle on the dot to go run. And I think this is one Toyota's like, yeah, we'll take Kansas. Sounds great. So I expect him to be fast. 3, Martin Truex Jr. A little quiet there this past weekend at Darlington, but I expect him to ramp things back up here at Kansas. Had a good, strong run there in the spring as well. Didn't quite go his way, but I expect him to bring a really fast race car back out of that Toyota camp. Toyota's all the way around. You better expect to run good, but Martin Truex has been the best out of the Toyota teams, if you ask me. So I'll take him 3. 4, you see it, baby. I'm taking my boy Chase Elliott, man. Chase needs a damn win. I'm not trying to pay Matt Harrington this $100. I ain't trying to pay Harrington this money. And my odds are dwindling down quick. I got 9 left to do it, counting this weekend. I got to win. I don't remember the exact bet. We got to talk about that. I think I got to win 5. He said 4 or less. I said 5 or more. I think that's how that went. Damn. Anyways, he got to get hot, and I think Kansas can do it, man. He'll bring a hot rod. If Larson got one, Elliott's bringing one, man. I'm telling you, Gustafson going to tune him up. I don't care if it's illegal or not, man. We didn't talk about that. I'll count that as a win. But he got to bring the Thunder, so I'll take the 9 in the 4 spot. 5 for me. I think I could go back and forth, but I'm going to take Tyler Reddick. I'm going to take the 45. I'm going to take the 45 there to have a really good, strong run and contend for a win. I think he's about due on a 1.5 mile racetrack. I think Kansas is a really good spot for 2311 and Toyota in general. I think this guy can bring the heat, so we'll put him there. Dark horses, they're really not going to be that dark, y'all. 23, Bubba Wallace, we know he's won there. He runs good there. He's going to be fast. I put him on there. 6 and 17, kind of a hash mark in between those guys. Keselowski, RFK has been fast. Ford, I think they'll probably be one of the better Ford teams out there if they bring the speed. But the 54, Ty Gibbs, I think that everybody's really got to keep an eye on that car this weekend. Me and Lawrence will be betting on that car this weekend. I think that he had a really good run there going earlier in the spring, really fast race car, and just kind of, lost it there. I think he had a flat, kind of ruined his day, blowout. Something happened to him, if I recall right, that kind of cost him his day there. But I expect Ty Gibbs to really run good at Kansas, and I think that Joe Gibbs, is going to want him to try to win this race. So I'm betting some money on Gibbs this weekend, man. That'll wrap it up for the top 5 there, man. We're getting ready to get into the money line, man. But before we do, we're going to pause for station identification on coaches because I need some cold beer, y'all. 2, we got an experiment going in this bottle right here, man. All my Atlanta peeps out there and anybody at the racetrack that follows Rubbin' and Grubbin', I think this year at Atlanta I'm going to have some hot sauce for a donation. This is going to be Rubbin' and Grubbin'. I'm going to have a sticker on it. This is a trial run. Rubbin' and Grubbin' sauce. That ain't going to be the official name, but it's hot. If you like hot stuff, it's really good. It's got a good flavor to it, but it'll definitely burn your rubber, man. I promise you that. So got something good coming up there, but Coach's Corner Sports Network, hope everybody's having a good Wednesday, hump day. Cheers, y'all. So getting into that money line presented by Redfin Polarized Sunglasses, the best polarized sunglasses on the planet. It does not matter if you got a wall hanger or money on the line. Make sure you see it clearly with the best polarized lenses on the planet. Redfins, baby. Italian frames, Carl Zeiss polarized lenses. Absolutely amazing. They got any style, any color to fit your needs, whether you're onshore, offshore, on the lake, in the woods, out here with your honey, trying to get a little funny. Redfin got you covered, baby. I promise you that, man. So, check out their website. They got some new, matte finishes on some frames, man, which I really like. I'm getting ready to, I think, buy a pair here in the next couple of weeks. For Christmas, I'll have one. I got to get a second pair of them, and I think holiday season, I'm going to be racking them up for the family as well. But like I said, check out their website, man. They got a lot of good stuff going on there. And like I said, man, you can use code Rubbin' and Grubbin' at checkout, save you 15%. These are made for the woods or the water. And as always, man, have fun, enjoy. Check out that website. Live Redfin, baby. And as always, fins up, baby. That's it. Redfin Polarized, man. Love y'all. So money line, I don't have the sheet. I left it down there. But I will tell you this, man. The money line, we hit not so much on the race there at Daytona the way we should have because, yeah, we both had the 6 and the 17 to win, and we just didn't quite fill it out that way because of the odds, and we probably should have. We just kind of missed on that one. But we still did pretty damn good, man. Lawrence is getting me squared up right now. I apologize, y'all. We were out here hanging. I left it down there, but this is one thing I do got to look at. So, yeah, man, I mean, we didn't take Brad or Busher. We had them. We talked about it, went back and forth, and we didn't take them. But we did hit with Green Innenfinger at plus 525 units. At Darlington, went Busher top 3. We hit plus 645. We're up 13,975 units on the year. So if you've been locking in bets the way we have, you've made a little decent advancement, man. So getting into it this week, I'm going to tell you this. The favorite, one of those two favorites are going to win. That's just the way I look at it. There's no doubt in my mind that either Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson is going to come into Kansas and win. So definitely one of those two guys are going to be locked in. You got some really good odds here in the opening odds, a little bit further in the field. You got the likes of you know, the 45, you got the likes of the 8, you got the likes of Logano, Chase Elliott. I mean, you got some really good guys down there that have some amazing value. 2,200 plus. You know, I think Denny opened at 450 or 500 favorite. Larson's right around 550. Truex is right there with him at 550. You know, you take a step down, you got some other guys that are in the further 800 range, 12, 1,300. But you go down, Chase Elliott 2,200. You got freaking Bubba Wallace down there a little bit with some decent odds. Ty Gibbs has, like, I want to say it's 28, 29, 3,200 to win outright. So you've got some really good value throughout that field with some guys that are going to become swinging and good manufacturer runs. So whether it even be top 3 on a couple of those guys, it's definitely worth to lock in. But make sure you're going out and following us on our social media out there on Twitter. Lawrence does a great job. He does post that every Sunday for that Cup race when we lock in our odds, which we will be competing in Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. But I only talk about Cup on here. But follow us, man. He'll post it. And if I'm missing something, or, you know, I'd love to see who you guys are picking. You know, throw it up there, comment in there, show me something that you guys got a bet locked in on, and we'll roll from there, man. But it's a good time. So follow us out there on that Twitter for sure, and catch up the Rubbin' and Grubbin' Burning Rubber money line presented by Redfin, baby. I'm telling you, we're doing pretty good this year. So before we get into the next segment, got to give a big shout out to Lamar over there at Lamar's Body Shop, the best automotive collision repair service right here in Savannah area. 35 plus years of taking care of this local area needs when it comes to auto collision. Lamar and his team, they got it locked in. They know what they're doing, y'all. So 2301 Skidaway Road, hop, skip, and a jump away from Coach's. So good thing is you can go drop the car off for an estimate, come down here, get something to eat at Coach's, enjoy a little bit of time, and then hop back up, man, and take it. So it's an awesome deal there. You know, like I said, Lamar's team knows what they're doing, not going to cut any corners and going to shoot it to you honest. So 2301 Skidaway Road. Make sure you go see Lamar. As I always like to say, why settle for par? Go see Lamar. Love you, dude. You my mans, man. So the hard right turn, I tell you, I didn't even get down on it, man. But what we're going to talk about is the youth movement in NASCAR and when it's time to make the move and when it's time to not. So, like I said, man, we're getting into the age now where not only is the driving age becoming young, we're coming down to a money sport. And it's always been a money sport, but a big one now. 30 to 40 million for charters. What can this guy bring to the table? Can he bring sponsorship? Can he bring money? Can he do this for the manufacturer? Is he part of the manufacturer farm? Yada, yada, yada. So, in the day and age when we're talking about a Charger, $30, $40 million, somewhere in that range, you know, Stewart's talking about, you know, whether he's going to sell or not, or whoever it may be. At the end of the day, do you buy in now because of the sport, like we talked about last week, or do you wait? But my biggest question is, do you get a young bud that's in Texas or Truck Series or that's in Xfinity and move them up now? And I'll tell you this, the big teams are only going to continue to get better, especially Hendrick. You've got 4 guys that are locked in there that I think Kyle Larson's 31 or 30 or 32 years old, if that. Chase Elliott's in his 20s, Bowman's in his 20s, Byron's the youngest one out. All of them, those guys aren't going anywhere within the next 5 to 8 years. So you've got guys that are locked in solid to their cars, that are locked in solid to their sponsors, that are only going to continue to get better. You need a guy that's bringing that money in. That's where the youth movement comes in. We all know young faces for a good sponsorship. If you got something, you talk good to a camera, you do this, you're a pretty boy, you're going to make money. Ty Gibbs example, a lot of them out there that can do it, bring big corporation dollars in with sponsorship. So you better go out if you're a guy looking for a young talent now. And I think Legacy got a little taste of it this past weekend with Carson Hocevar, which, by the way, big shout out to Carson Hocevar for a top 17 run and, you know, his second debut, which I think he probably would have finished better than that early in the year before the rotor blew out and he smashed the wall 1,000,000 freaking tons. But at the end of the day, you know, doing good. I like Hocevar. A good shout out, good run there at a track that's not easy to run either, in a car you don't know. So, kid's got talent. But the Hosefars and the John Hunter Nemecheks and the Sammy Smiths and the Zane Smiths and the, you know, other guys out there that you see that are winning the races and contending, and then you see them getting a cup car on a one-off and run good. Time to go get them. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if Legacy, you know, announced if Carson Hocevar comes back and puts this car right here inside the top 15, top 12 this weekend here, Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Legacy goes, hey, man, you want to move up? Get them. But there again, it goes with manufacturers. Toyota's adding in Legacy next year. Will they make the move? Do they want somebody, a John Hunter Nemechek or a Sammy Smith or whoever, to come up and go, hey, and fill those shoes for Hocevar over there for Noah Gregson at Legacy? So these are all things that are coming into play in today's sport, which I think are now more relevant than they've ever been. I think this is something that, you had back in the day, but it was a farm system. You worked your way up, you climbed the ladder, you got a ride based on your productivity. Now you get a ride based on John
Hunter to 42.
Oh, it just got announced, John Hunter to the 42?
12 minutes ago.
12 freaking minutes ago. See, I don't even get live news feeds up here, man. 12 minutes ago. But it ran my brain, and there we go. Affiliated with Toyota. Right, come on, man. At the end of the day, all I'm saying is that this is with the new sport we're getting into. Younger guys attract more business for, whether the talent's all the way there or not. You can't miss the opportunity to hit the next Jeff Gordon or Kyle Busch or Denny Hamlin or any of the guys that are staples now. But I just think manufacturers have more to play in it, and sponsorship has more to play than it ever has. So hopefully we change that. I think we got to. I think that we got to get some good teams and good youth in there. But also at the end of the day, I think it pays dividends unless you're a Hendrick that has just, millennial talent in every single seat. And you might argue with Alex Bowman, whatever. I mean, if your weakest driver is not making the playoffs this year but made it the last couple of years, then so be it. But at the end of the day, it's just the powerhouse of the sport, and it goes along with it. Young drivers, good sponsorship that brings money into the organization for the manufacturer and for the team leads to success. And the later you wait, the farther Penske and Gibbs and Hendrick are going to pull away from everybody there. You've seen it with Trackhouse. Chastain ain't doing what he did last year, is he? You've already seen him pull away. So that's all I'm saying, man. Hard right turn, baby. Wraps it up. All right, baby. On to the grubbing. I brought a special little treat tonight, and I was going to bring some barbecue, but I didn't do any barbecue. Me and Lindsay did barbecue at the house last week, which was awesome, and I probably should have done it again. But at the end of the day, this is kind of like the sweet gem here at Coach's, baby, the Stromboli. And, man, I'm going to cut this bad boy open, because this thing is too good not to take a look at. This thing is stuffed up. We got bacon, pepperoni, Italian sausage, bell peppers, onions, mozzarella. I mean, this thing is loaded up, baby. We got the marinara. Most of all, I got the rubbing sauce, which I'm going to get on down. It's hot. I'm going to tell you guys. We'll talk a little bit more in the upcoming weeks, but it's spicy. So, like I said, man, Coach's Corner, who knew they did Stromboli calzones, and probably one of the best pizzas I've had in the area, man. They do some Italian, good pizza, Italian-type stuff. This Stromboli is to jam with. You guys got to come check it out right here at Coach's Corner, the center of the universe, Thunderbolt, Georgia. Some of the best food in Savannah area, man. Good times, good friends, good fun. What is it, since 91, Lawrence, something like that? Yeah, we on there, man. We're rhyming tonight. Awesome deal there. So got to give a big shout out to my main man, Mr. Carl DeMasi out there. Carl bringing it to you live with the DeMasi Sports Report from the Sound Garden every Saturday, 9 until, keeping you up to date with not only, college athletics and what's going on in major sports, college football and everything else, but everything that's local in the area. Again, that's every Saturday, 9 until, having a great time with the coach himself. Go out there, check him out on YouTube too, man. You can subscribe to Coach DeMasi's channel as well and follow that. He's got guests all the time, awesome folks, local personalities, local athletes, high school athletes that are, just busting onto the scene, doing an amazing job. Coach is awesome, man. He gets you square. But most of all, Who's on First Base every single Tuesday. You can stream that where you stream your podcast. Coach and Kyle Larson do an amazing job breaking down that MLB, who's hot, who's not, who's leading. All I know is them Braves are tearing ass, son. I'm going to spend my last $3. They're tearing ass. Ain't nobody going to beat the damn Braves, and we about to chop that ass up all the way to a World Series, baby. There's all $3 I got left going in there, man. But Carl's going to break it down. He'll keep you up to date. Him and Kyle Larson, everything MLB. We're getting ready to get into kind of the pennant race and kind of the wild card talk. We don't have that long to get into the month. So at the end of the day, who's hot, who's not in MLB?
5, magic number.
5's the magic number. That's what we need to clinch, huh? Man, that's the magic number. That'll happen here in probably 7 days. So get it right, baby. That's right. Chop on, bravos, baby. But yeah, man, that's gonna wrap it up tonight, y'all. I hope everybody had a great night. I usually take this time to, speak about something at the end of the day. Look, I think that, summer's winding in. We're getting into that fall season. We're going to run into these holidays. Everybody's going to want to be together. We got some things that are back up going on now. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're eating healthy. You're staying healthy. You're living life healthy. And if you ain't doing any of those three things, just make sure you're having fun, man, because tomorrow is not given. Hug your loved ones. Give them a kiss on the cheek. As always, stay safe. Till next time. Bam! Wash your hands, y'all. Woo! Love you guys. Oh, yeah, a little coach's stromboli with some rubbing and grubbing sauce.
You gonna put it on?
Oh, hell yeah, I'm about to put it on it. I love it. I'll eat the shit out of it. It'll light me up, but... Oh, yeah. I got the twang to it.